The question that Today and Smith Company holds high promise simply for one fact. Well, look at that. I can see gold color. Yeah, me too. Is it heavy? Pretty heavy. A gold coin. Could the team have found their first piece of actual treasure at Smith's Cove? Rick Lagina has just uncovered something terrifying at Smith's Cove that no one saw coming. They were digging, hoping for gold or hidden artifacts, but what they found is shaking everyone to the core. Was this dig finally the one to uncover what so many treasure hunters feared? Tune in as we reveal what will be the most unsettling discovery in U.S. history. Digging deep in the garden shaft, when Rick and his crew took their tools to the garden shaft, they were in high spirits, expecting clues that might lead them to the fabled stash from the 18th century. Little did they know what they'd uncover wouldn't just be exciting, it was unsettling. Digging down to 100 feet, they hit an old wooden passageway, not just any passageway, but one from the 17th century. And this place was somehow connected to a section called the Baby Blob. What they were dealing with was much darker, almost as if history itself was alive and ready to strike back. Just 3 weeks earlier, they had deepened the garden shaft, and now they stood face to face with something that turned excitement into dread. Before we delve into this, it's clear that what they uncovered is far darker than anyone ever expected, and this won't be the only discovery that will leave you shaken. The passage had odd gaps, big chunks of the walls and ceiling were just gone. It wasn't erosion or simple decay, it looked intentional. Did someone centuries ago break apart this structure to hide something dangerous? As the team continued digging, they could see the outlines of where parts of the wooden beams should have been, but they weren't there. Those are big beams. They are. Oh yeah, I know. Two are the same and some impressive. They started to wonder if maybe someone had deliberately messed with this passage long ago to keep something hidden or to protect themselves from whatever lay beyond. And if that was true, then what exactly had they just uncovered? They dug deeper, and with every 10 feet, they took samples. Everything was documented, every piece of soil examined. Then, as if things weren't bad enough, water began seeping through holes at the 97-foot mark. They'd struck one of those infamous flood tunnels that had haunted treasure hunters for centuries. These tunnels were like booby traps designed to flood anyone who came too close. But Marty and the rest were determined. No way were they going to let a little water slow them down. The metals they were detecting in the water, gold, silver, it only spurred them on more. Rick gathered everyone and gave a quick pep talk. They had been through challenges before, this was just another one to overcome. They decided to pump out the water, and the team kept drilling. The deeper they went, the stronger their connection to those early explorers who had failed before them, people who had tried to crack open Oak Island's questions but had been thwarted by these same obstacles. But now, with today's technology and experience, the team had the upper hand, or at least that's what they hoped. As they pressed on, they found more old wooden beams, big, strangely shaped ones. These beams weren't just thrown together, they were part of a well-thought-out structure, supports from a time long forgotten. The team was thrilled. These beams were solid proof they were on the right track. This wasn't just some random tunnel, this was something built with purpose, with an agenda. I mean, if this is a tunnel, it's an aha moment. Yeah, look, a tunnel here. Maybe it was hiding treasure, or maybe something much more sinister. They carefully pulled some beams out, hoping that dating them would give more insight into the timeline. Maybe, just maybe, these timbers would link directly to the treasures rumored to be hidden deep below Oak Island. Every piece of wood was like a puzzle piece, adding to the bigger story that had been buried beneath centuries of dirt. And it wasn't just about treasure anymore, it was about discovering the real story behind these strange constructions. Gary, the team's skilled excavator, was busy sweeping the area with his metal detector. It wasn't long before it went off, alerting him to something unusual. When they dug it out, they found an oddly shaped, aged metal artifact. It wasn't junk, that was clear. It was old, maybe older than anything else they'd uncovered. This strange piece, whatever it was, hinted at a past no one fully understood, something that had been purposely left behind, hidden in plain sight. The swamp revealed parts of the past, but Oak Island's story wasn't finished. As each find brought the team closer to something much bigger, the swamp's strange story unfolded. Markers were placed along the passage to map it out precisely. Every dig had to be strategic, safe, and calculated not only to protect the workers but also to ensure that nothing was missed. As they worked, they found pieces of wood shaped by an adze, an ancient tool used long before modern machinery. These weren't accidents, they were clues left behind, pointing to something deeper. Each discovery brought them closer to unraveling what seemed like an ancient riddle, one that was becoming more unsettling with every piece of evidence. Across the island, work was also ongoing in the swamp. Rick, Gary, and Billy were on the hunt again. This swamp had always been suspicious, strange finds just seemed to pop up there. This time, they were looking for more ship parts, like the ones they'd found over the years. These pieces dated back as far as the 15th century. Is a brace from a typical 9-inch diameter ship's timber? In 2020, they even found part of a ship's railing that was traced back to the 8th century. It was way older than anyone had anticipated, hinting at a much deeper history for the swamp, one that might even connect to medieval explorers like the Vikings. With shovels in hand, they kept at it. The swamp was giving up its answers, one layer at a time. Gary's metal detector went off again, this time leading them to a piece of wood with a hole, a runner from a ship, maybe a broken keel. They believed it was evidence that a ship had been wrecked here many years ago. What was a ship doing in this swamp, and why was it hidden so well? The answers weren't coming easy, but the questions kept piling up. The next discovery was a large wooden structure, almost like a dam or wall, buried in the swamp. It reminded the team of what Fred Nolan, a past treasure hunter, had found over 30 years ago. Nolan had believed it was part of an ancient dam built to hide something. Could this new find be linked to that? The swamp seemed to be holding far more than just shipwrecks. It was becoming clear that whatever happened here was big, planned, and intentionally hidden. Dr. Ian Spooner, a geoscientist, was brought in to help date the wood. He also wanted to see if it linked to the nearby stone road, which was estimated to be about 500 years old. If they were connected, it would mean that this area had been a hub of activity centuries ago, perhaps a center for moving goods. It felt like they were starting to piece together a bigger picture, a network of roads and structures that hinted at something much larger than just a treasure. The swamp kept surprising them. They found tree stumps in a place where trees shouldn't grow, adding weight to Dr. Spooner's theory that the swamp was man-made. It looked like someone had reshaped the land here for a reason, and whatever that reason was, it was tied to the strange layout of Oak Island. Each clue made the team more excited and more determined. They were on to something. But the swamp was not giving up its story easily. The more they found, the more questions they had. What was hidden here? Was it treasure, or something far worse? The swamp seemed to have a mind of its own, like it was hiding something no one was meant to find. And as they dug, it felt like they were getting closer to an answer that might be terrifying. Dig deeper into this, it's clear that what Rick Laga uncovered is far more unsettling than anyone expected, and this won't be the last discovery that will leave you speechless. Earlier testing in this area had hinted at gold and silver far beneath, but this discovery brought up more questions than it answered. Taking a closer look at the passage, they noticed some worrying gaps, parts of the walls and ceiling were just missing. This led to a big question: did someone remove parts of this passage on purpose to hide something incredibly valuable? With the garden shaft now reaching down to 106 feet, the team was ready for a detailed drilling operation led by experts from Dumas Contracting Limited. They aimed to explore the hidden parts of the passage, searching for any signs of the treasure that had fascinated so many for so long. This is that spot on the map I gave you. Marty Laga, always the skeptic, was really thinking about those missing sections. Was someone trying to protect a well-hidden treasure? Drilling turned into more than just a physical job, it was a serious search for the truth, with samples being taken every 10 feet to be thoroughly checked. Then, unexpectedly, water started pouring into the shaft through holes drilled near the 97-foot mark, likely hitting one of the island's well-known flood tunnels, a problem that had stumped treasure hunters for more than 200 years. But would this stop them? Not at all. The team was more determined than ever. The metals found in the water and other gathered evidence only made them more eager to continue. Rick Lagina and his crew were feeling more hopeful than ever that they were about to make a big discovery, following the steps of those who had come before them but failed to unlock the island's old secrets. Rick brought his team together, reminding them that every challenge was just another obstacle to get past. They decided to pump out the water and keep moving forward. Looking into the depths of the garden shaft, Rick, Marty, Craig, and the rest felt a strong connection to past explorers who had tried and failed to solve the island's mysteries. Yet with today's technology, historical knowledge, and unwavering determination, they were better equipped than anyone before them. During their exploration deeper into the newly revealed part of the passage, Rick found large, uniquely shaped wooden beams. These confirmed the passage's existence and its importance in history. The beams, which varied from round to slender, seemed to have been part of the passage's structure, possibly as supports. What would they find out next from these discoveries? This moment was a turning point for the team. It didn't just move their search forward, it gave solid proof that quieted any doubt about the passage's existence. The unusual shapes of the beams showed a complicated building method, probably from the 17th century, as earlier tests had confirmed. The beams showed the team they were only beginning, each find made them believe more was hidden nearby. There was a source of the metals they were detecting, and they didn't believe it was natural. Ancient timbers hold forgotten stories. Excited by this proof, the team decided to take some of the beams out for a closer look, hoping this examination would tell them when the beams were made and maybe lead them to the treasures rumored to be hidden on the island. This part of their exploration was key, showing that these timbers were part of the original structure could finally link them to the treasures buried deep under Oak Island. Gary, a skilled excavator, came to the site with his trusted metal detector and a spirit ready to discover. He was keen to find artifacts that could tell more about the area's past. His efforts quickly paid off when his detector beeped, indicating a metal object. This wasn't just any old piece of junk, its unique shape suggested it was from a much earlier time, potentially offering important clues about the past. As the digging continued, the team made sure to do things right. They set up markers along the passage, which helped them make accurate maps of what lay underground. This careful approach was critical not just for understanding the passage but also for guiding future digs and ensuring everyone's safety. One of the most exciting finds that day was a piece of wood shaped by an adze, a tool used long before today's machines were around. That's the pointy end of the spike. As they dug and discovered, Rick and his team felt more connected to the history and the stories of the island than ever before. Each piece of wood, each strange object, and each layer of soil told part of a story that had been waiting silently for centuries. Every day brought new challenges but also new pieces of a long-hidden past that slowly started to fit together, promising to reveal more than just hidden riches but a deep and rich history of the island itself. They knew the risks and the challenges, but their resolve was firm to uncover the truths that lay buried under Oak Island, piece by piece, clue by clue. With each discovery, they moved closer to understanding the true story of this place. Driven by a mix of historical curiosity and the thrill of the hunt, the team held the old object with great care, feeling like it connected them to the people who built the tunnel a long time ago. It seemed like those builders might have been trying to hide something important. Holding the object made them feel like they were uncovering part of the past. As the sun began to set, the team's excitement grew, thinking about what more they could discover the next day. They decided to use sideways drilling to dig deeper, hoping to find the source of the valuable metals their tools had picked up earlier. That evening, Rick and his team left the site feeling more energized than ever. Each piece of wood and every old object they found added to a bigger story they were slowly putting together. They weren't just hunting for treasure but also trying to understand what had happened on the island so many years ago. Meanwhile, across the island, Rick, Gary Drayton, and Billy Gart were hard at work in another part of the swamp. This swamp had always caught their attention because of the interesting things found there, and now they were hoping to uncover even more. Their goal was to find objects like the ship parts they had dug up in past years. These ship pieces were from as far back as the 15th and 18th centuries. But the biggest surprise came in the year 2020 when they found part of a ship's railing. Testing showed the piece could be from as early as the 8th century, much older than anything they had expected. "I think we're going to find a lot more." This find hinted that the swamp might have an even deeper history, one far older than they first thought. Dr. Doug Simons believed the pieces could even connect to Viking explorers from medieval times, pushing the team to keep digging. With shovels in hand, they kept working, hoping to confirm this exciting connection. Gary tried to keep everyone's spirits high, making jokes about how treasure must be nearby. During the dig, Rick found a piece of wood with a hole that looked like it came from a ship's runner, the part that protects the bottom of the ship near the shore. Billy thought it might be a broken keel runner, which could mean the ship hit rocks in the past. This idea made sense, adding another piece to the growing story of what might have happened in the swamp. Uncovering the old timbers gave the team fresh hope, but digging deeper brought even more surprising discoveries.